Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel, Assimilation Workshop. One of my objectives is to get ourselves blended by learning American history. First, let me introduce myself. My name's John, and I came to the United States 2 years ago. I'm learning American history at City College of Santa Barbara. And today, I invite my brother Rick from our local church community to join us. Rick, welcome.
Thank you, John. I'm happy to be here. I'm so pleased that you came to the U.S. and California. I'm a native Californian. My wife is a fifth generation Californian, which makes our daughters a sixth generation. I'm sure you know that the U.S. is a nation of immigrants. I love making friends with people from other countries. Thank you for sharing your story with me and being my friend. If it's okay, I'd like to open our session with a short prayer. Father, thank you for our friendship and the class John is taking on American history and all he's learning about our great country. There's so much good about the United States, but we are far from a perfect country. Help us, Lord, to make wiser choices and bless our time together today. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Rick. I've written some essays recently, which were also the assignments of my history course. My teacher, Dr. Matthew Mooney, responded with much encouragement, for which I couldn't be grateful enough. One of the feedbacks from Dr. Mooney relating to religious freedom was, it's clear that the topic, religious freedom, resonates deeply with you, and your insight into how religious freedom has evolved over time shows a mature understanding of both the painful and hopeful aspects of history. Probably we will talk about the topic of the religious freedom later, but not today. Our today's topic is about United States founding documents, including the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, which protect varieties of freedoms. My question is, could you please introduce the Declaration of Independence to our audience?
Certainly. Today's topic is so huge that we could spend many days talking about it. And the topic of religious freedom is huge also, and I hope I can join that workshop later. The founding documents we talk about today are known as the Charters of Freedom and are considered essential to our country's founding and philosophy. The Declaration of Independence, which is the primary founding document of the United States, proclaimed the American colonies' separation from British rule and was adopted by Congress on July 4th, 1776. Thomas Jefferson, one of the founding fathers, was the primary author. What Jefferson called his original rough draft, one of several revisions, is preserved at the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., complete with changes made by John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, as well as Jefferson's notes of changes made by Congress. The Declaration was a formal explanation of why the Continental Congress voted to declare American independence from the Kingdom of Great Britain over a year after the American Revolutionary War commenced with the battles of Lexington and Concord in April 1775.
Thank you very much, Rick. Thank you for your introduction of the Declaration of Independence. When I was learning the history chapter of the American War for Independence, I was captivated by the beginning in that chapter written by my teacher, Dr. Mooney. In early 1776, Benjamin Franklin, unofficial colonial representative of Pennsylvania, was called before the lower house of Parliament and questioned. The British members of Parliament asked Franklin how Americans felt about Great Britain. He answered about the colonists had until recently felt great affection for the mother country. They considered the Parliament as the great bulwark and the security of their liberties and privileges, and always spoke of it with the utmost respect and veneration. However, feelings had changed since 1763. Restraints on colonial trade, a ban on colonial paper money, and the new and heavy tax by stamps had greatly diminished colonial affection for the mother country. So my question is, could you please introduce Benjamin Franklin, one of the founding fathers, to our audience?
Of course. There's a movie based on the book, A Great Improvisation, Franklin, France, and the Birth of America, written by Stacy Schiff, a Pulitzer Prize winner. Quote, in December of 1776, a small boat delivered an old man to France, unquote. So begins an enthralling narrative account of how Benjamin Franklin, 70 years old, without any diplomatic training and possessed of only the most rudimentary French, convinced France, an absolute monarchy, to underwrite America's experiment in democracy. When Franklin stepped onto French soil, he well understood he was embarking on the greatest gamble of his career. By virtue of his fame, charisma, and ingenuity, Franklin outmaneuvered British spies, French informers, and hostile colleagues. He engineered the Franco-American Alliance of 1778 and helped to negotiate the Peace of 1783. His 8-year French mission stands not only as Franklin's most vital service to his country, but as the most revealing of the man.
Benjamin Franklin was an American polymath, a leading writer, scientist, inventor, statesman, diplomat, printer, publisher, and political philosopher. Lots of titles. Among the most influential intellectuals at his time, Franklin was one of the founding fathers of the United States, a drafter and a signer of the Declaration of Independence, and the first Postmaster General. Yes, I watched the video you mentioned several months ago on Apple TV, and it illuminates the least explored part of Franklin's life, which is an unfamiliar yet unforgettable chapter of the American War for Independence. As we're talking about the founding fathers of the United States, could you please tell us who was even more impressive to you?
Sure. The Founding Fathers were a group of late 18th century American revolutionary leaders who united the 13 colonies, oversaw the War of Independence from Great Britain, established the United States of America, and crafted a framework of government for the new nation. The Founding Fathers included those who signed the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, and other founding documents. They also include military leaders who fought in the American Revolution. The single person most identified as the father of the United States is George Washington, a general in the American Revolution and the first president to the United States, whose portrait appears on the front of the $1 bill.
Thank you very much, Rick. The Constitution is the supreme law of the United States, which superseded the Articles of Confederation and delineates the frame of the federal government. My question is, could you please talk about the background of the Constitution of the United States?
I'd be glad to. The former colonies that definitively established their independence from Great Britain in 1783 were linked together in a loose alliance by the United States' first Constitution, the Articles of Confederation and Perpetual Union. This alliance was a firm league of friendship between virtually independent states. Each state retained its sovereignty, freedom, and independence, and every power, jurisdiction, and right. The Confederation Congress faced a thicket of increasingly tangled problems in the 1780s, including the heavy debts borrowed to pay for the war against Great Britain. In response to these challenges, many asserted the liberty won by the revolution would not be secure until Americans established a more energetic general government. George Washington warned that unless there was a change in the system, the Union of the States would dissolve. In May 1787, 55 delegates from 12 states met in Philadelphia to consider revisions to the Articles of Confederation. Finally, on September 17, 1787, after months of difficult debate, 39 of the original 55 delegates affixed their names to the proposed Constitution. They forwarded this proposal to the state ratification conventions, where 5 of the necessary 9 states quickly approved it between December 1787 and January 1788, including Delaware, New Jersey, Georgia, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. The Massachusetts Convention suggested that the proposed Constitution would be approved on the condition of recommended amendments to the Constitution, limiting the new government's authority. New Hampshire and Virginia ratified the Constitution in June 1788. New York State the New York State Ratifying Convention narrowly approved the Constitution in July 1788. North Carolina and Rhode Island refused to ratify, but on April 30th, 1789, on the balcony of Federal Hall in New York City, George Washington was inaugurated as the first president of the United States under the Constitution. The Constitution decisively strengthened the federal government.
As we are talking about the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution is huge.
Yes.
To me, to the immigrants like me who came to the United States. Could you please tell our audience something about the Constitution of the United States?
Yes.
Yeah, more details a little bit?
Yeah. I'll cover a little bit, at least at a high level. The Constitution includes 4 sections, which includes an introductory paragraph titled the Preamble, 7 articles that define the government's framework, and then an untitled closing endorsement with the signatures of the 39 framers, and then 27 amendments that were adopted under Article 5. The Preamble, the Constitution's introductory paragraph, lays out the purposes of the new government. And the opening sentence is very famous and powerful. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. The opening words, we the people, represented a radical new thought. The idea that the people and not the states were the source of government's legitimacy. The Constitution's main provision, including 7 articles that define the basic framework of the federal government. Article 1 describes the Congress, the legislative branch of the federal government. Section 1 reads, all legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. The article establishes how the members of each house will be elected and the qualifications for membership in each body. Article 2 describes the office, qualifications, and duties of the President of the United States and the Vice President. The President is the head of the executive branch of the federal government, as well as the nation's head of state and head of government. Both of these are appropriate right now because we have an upcoming election in early November.
Yeah, the election is right at the corner.
That's right.
Yeah.
So President and members of Senate and Congress will be elected. Article 3 describes the court system, the judicial branch, including the Supreme Court. Article 4 outlines the relations among the states and between each state and the federal government. Article 5 outlines the process for amending the Constitution. Article 6 establishes that the Constitution and all federal laws and treaties made in accordance with it have supremacy over state laws, and that the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, and anything in the laws or constitutions of any state notwithstanding. Article 7 describes the processes for establishing the proposed new frame of government. The signing of the United States Constitution occurred on September 17, 1787, when 39 delegates endorsed the Constitution created during the convention. The Constitution has 27 amendments. The first 10 amendments are referred to as the Bill of Rights, which consist of 10 amendments that were added to the Constitution in 1791, as supporters of the Constitution had promised critics during the debates of 1788. The First Amendment prohibits Congress from obstructing the exercise of certain individual freedoms: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of assembly, and the right to petition. The Second Amendment protects the right of individuals to keep and bear arms, and the Third Amendment prohibits the federal government from forcing individuals to provide lodging to soldiers in their homes during peacetime without consent.
Brother Rick, and let us come to our conclusion.
Okay.
My question is, do you believe the founding documents are relevant today? Do you think they are always recognized as the lighthouse of freedom and liberty? Why or why not?
Well, yes, I'd be glad to. Yes, I do think the founding documents are relevant today. Whether they're always recognized as a lighthouse of freedom and liberty, not always, but let's talk about that. For many Americans, the founding documents represent shared values and a sense of national identity. They serve as a cultural touchstone that can provide a sense of unity and purpose, especially during times of political division. These documents inspire democratic movements and serve as a model for other nations seeking to build enduring institutions of government based on similar values. Additionally, they emphasize the importance of evolving interpretations to continue addressing contemporary challenges while upholding core principles. They are often seen as the lighthouse of freedom and liberty, not just for the United States, but as an inspiring example globally. Today's discussion just scratches the surface. We could say so much more, but it gives us an overview.
Brother Rick, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing with us. Maybe we can come together soon.
I'd love that.
Yeah, would you close us?
Father, thank you for this great time reviewing some of the great documents in human history that founded our country. Thanks again for our friendship. Please help John continue to expand his knowledge and to find his place in American society.
Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Amen.